Well, those troops are down, and like we saw, there's not a lot for any one country. No big advantage. Nobody had a huge pile coming in, which could have happened if somebody had saved up for that. It could have been a very potent force if they could have gotten away with that. And also, we did what may be the most important die roll in the game, although we may have some others this turn, which was the player order for this turn. We see the Dutch got the best roll and they're going last, and that, I mean, people are aware of that, but the Dutch only need 4 points. If they take, say, the Netherlands and don't lose anything, a couple big ifs there, especially the don't lose anything part, they win. Or at least they make their goal. The English and the Spanish are unlikely to get an auto win. The Russians might. And can anyone involved stop them? Probably not. No one who comes after them. So it's possible the Russians could pull a victory. There aren't a lot of points near Russia, though. So that might be a little tricky because they don't have a navy. Their army is kind of clogged down in Turkland. And so that's pretty unlikely. The Austrians would have loved to go late. They were probably the best set for it. But they didn't get that lucky break, and there are decent forces that come after them, the British especially, but also the Russians, who could conceivably take an important point away somewhere. For example, the Russians, well, they can't take this, but they could take Transylvania. Again. And let's see. The poor Prussians are going early, but they can always hold off until the British turn, which they probably want to do. The problem here is the Prussians and the Swedes have these sieges going on that they could grab the territory. And so they may want to activate those units. The Swedes are actually a British ally, but beforehand. Because something could interfere if they don't get those off early. So chances are they'll do that. The poor Turks, well, they're allied with Spain and may want to wait and go with Spain there. And likewise, the Russians are allied with Holland, which means they could hold off and go with the Dutch. Alright, well, we'll see how it kind of falls out. Well, we're coming down to the end of the game, and the Dutch have a shot. So right now, I still have the Russians and the Dutch to go. The Russians probably do not, but we'll see. They need 5 points, and there aren't a lot of rich areas. The Dutch still need 4, and the Netherlands is still open. See, the Austrians went into Tuscany, and they rolled a few times, or rolled once, but they didn't get a lot of damage there. And no one else really attacked them. What else did we get? It's hard to hit some of their stuff. The Spanish made a point of marching into Galicia, trying to take that. They couldn't. Spain, you know, isn't in the best of shape anyhow, so it's not like they're going to get the win if they don't. The Spanish also failed in their siege of the French, whereas the English took another French island here. And I don't know how many points the English have. They may be doing quite well already, although they have this big suck over here of 5 points that are lost to everyone because of the Indian independence. But the English managed to take back Hanover. They didn't get anything else, though. Berlin's Prussian. The English would have seized it if it weren't for the fact that it was Swedish troops that took it, so they instead liberated it. I'm not sure liberation is a part of this game, but the game makes less than no sense if it's not. So I just kind of fudged that in there. Austrians failed in their siege of White Russia, and they moved some forces into Warsaw and made an attack. That didn't really go anywhere. So things are pretty much stalemated everywhere, but the Dutch are still free, and they're going to make their move. If they get this, they win. Let's see if they have any cards that can help them, and if anybody has anything that can stop them. I'll come back after this, but I think there's a very good chance because the Dutch have a lot of money, so they can pretty much buy the win. So the Dutch indeed managed to pull that victory off. Some others came close, though. The English, like I said, they've gotten a lot of points in the Caribbean, and I counted them up. They have a total of 22 positive points, but they're down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're at like 13 positive, which isn't bad given how far they fell before. The French, I think, are below 0 at this point, even though 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 positive here. They've got so much missing off the Caribbean that they didn't get it. But the Dutch managed to pick up the Celebes, and of course they also managed to grab the Netherlands. That gets them 16 points as a net. Or no, 11 points as a net, which wins them the game, mainly because nobody managed to spend enough to take those sieges. They left the Dutch to the later players, and when it turned out, and I looked at things, the English couldn't reach them. They just could not reach them with enough force. They did what they could, but they couldn't get there, and no one else could. The Russians made a Herculean effort, even attacking here with just one unit, and they picked up a couple more points in Transylvania and over here in Albania. Puts them at about 7. The Austrians are down a point, so they're at 7, which isn't terribly good for them. But clearly, you know, the Dutch were able to sneak their win off, even though early in the game, they were the guys who were just sitting there saying, "Oh, I don't know what to do." But yeah, it's I kind of like that position for them. Anyway, I'll come back with a review of this. This is going to be very, very short, but I think this deserves a full review session.